All right, so picking up on what we were talking about on Monday afternoon's class, and the question that we were looking at together was compare how Tracks and Charlie's Country explore the impact of social barriers upon the lives of the characters. So what I'm going to try and do now is do a practice comparative body paragraph. And I'm going to try and use some of these examples that we've used. So I'll start with Charlie's Country, and then I'll start doing some comparative work in the paragraph. So let's have a go at a practice paragraph. All right, so looking at this paragraph now, we're going to talk through it. Now remember the question that we looked at was compare how Tracks and Charlie's Country explore the impact of social barriers upon the lives of the characters. So we're looking at the examples that we got together from our class on Monday afternoon. So I'm going to spend a bit of time looking at the topic sentence first. And what I've done in the topic sentence is I've included both texts or both characters in there. And I've tried to make it directly related to the text rather than being a generic topic sentence. So I've got, as Charlie confronts the oppressive control of legal authorities, Robin encounters opposition from locals that are hardened due to isolation and struggle in Alice Springs and the desert. So I've got here Charlie is mentioned, and we've got Robin is also mentioned as well. So in doing that in the topic sentence, we're actually doing some comparison already. Okay, so some comparison is happening already. All right, then we get into the first section. So I'm starting with text A, okay, starting with Charlie's Country. And we started with to hear, represents, okay? So this is looking at the how, okay? What director is doing, okay? He's representing the obstacles that Charlie faces through the interactions that he has with the dying old man. Okay, so the interaction that Charlie has with the old man is a representation of those obstacles. The long silences, okay, these are techniques between them, and the close-up takes, technique, illustrate. I should probably use a different color for the how. Okay, illustrate, represents, this is the how. The extent of the grief and loss faced by the Indigenous. When Charlie concludes that the old man is sick because of the white fella junk food, I've got a quote here. It is clear that the predicament that he is in will require that he leave his country, quote, and die in a place away from his people. And then we get into text B. So now we're starting to do our comparison now. Robin's challenges concurrently, okay, comparative language, are caused by external factors beyond her control. When she arrives in Alice Springs, she states that she was surrounded by people that found her presence a threat. Here we've got technique, quote. which has a lasting impact upon her mental well-being. Then we switch back to Charlie's country. Moreover, and here we've got comparative language. De Heer's long take, see, we're talking about the director, long take, technique of Charlie watching the old man leaving his country, accompanied by the sound of the place, sound, technique, of the plane, sorry, highlights the sadness in Charlie's eyes. So highlights is the how. Okay, what's De Heer doing? But while Charlie's grief, here's our comparative language. While Charlie's grief is due to the lack of proper healthcare, food, housing, and employment of his people, resulting in the departure of one of his people from his land, Robin's trials are due to the curts of this world, quote, and her inability to overcome brute force and domination in Alice Springs, quote. Okay, and then we get into the new insight at the end. Furthermore, comparative language. This context and the barriers within it enable Robin. Now, I want you to know something I've done here. I've used the word barriers in the new insight because that is referring back to the essay topic. Back to topic. I haven't used the word barriers all the way through here. I've used synonyms and different words, but barriers I've used here just to remind the assessor or the person marking I'm answering the question. Okay, the question being Tracks in Charlie's Country explore the impact of social barriers. Okay, and the barriers within it enable Robin to adapt. An impact being that she must become a battle axe, quote, a product of the frontier in order to survive. Charlie, in contrast, comparative language, retreats to further isolate himself due to the oppression facing him, while, comparative, Robin draws strength from others to carry on. All right, now one thing that you can do is, now looking at that, and if I was doing some planning and I was thinking about that paragraph, I'd probably say that the topic sentence doesn't quite relate to what I'm saying directly in here. So what you can do is you can actually go back and you can edit. I mean, that's what proofreading is for. You go back and edit the topic sentence to relate to it more closely. Now, I've had a bit of time to sort of think about, maybe it took me maybe 3 minutes, maybe. It took me about sort of 15 minutes to write this. Okay, and I gave myself some time to kind of go back and read over it. And if I was to make a change to my topic sentence, it would be something like this. So I'm going to get rid of this and I'm going to write, so as Charlie confronts the oppressive control of legal authorities, Robin encounters opposition from locals that are hardened due to isolation. Hang on, authorities and, so I'm going to put here, I'm going to try a different color here, authorities. And Robin encounters opposition from locals that are hardened due to isolation. I'll get rid of this. And we'll put instead both Davidson and De Heer explore the ensuing ramifications that these contexts have upon the mental health of the characters. So I want to emphasize that it's important that you do have in your topic sentences are talking about, or they're going to introduce what you're going to present. And if you have time with proofreading, which you should have, you can go back and edit it, okay, and go back and do that. But ideally, what you've done beforehand is plan what you are going to present. And I think this topic sentence better represents what's happening in the paragraph here. All right, so having done that practice paragraph, we'll have a look at the topic sentence now. So we put a topic sentence up there. I reconstructed it after looking at it again. Okay, so looking at the paragraph, I proofread it and I thought, well, maybe I need to adjust the topic sentence so that it fits in the examples that I've used. And really what I've looked at in this first paragraph is we've got the old man that dies away from his country with a long take of Charlie. We've also got probably a little bit here about looking after yourself. I've talked about food and things like that. And then on this side, I've talked about the psychological, so probably the depression thing, the curse of this world, impossibility of winning against brute force and domination. And when I've looked at the comparisons between them, I've probably looked at the mental health concerns between them. Now, having looked at that, I think there's probably enough there to be doing a second body paragraph, because what's not really addressed in the paragraph that I've just presented is really this whole idea of modification of guns and spears, creating spears and things like that, the disempowerment of the Indigenous, and also the misunderstanding of the Indigenous as well. And so that could probably be linked in again with probably some of what's going on here for Robin, in the sense that there's probably a little bit of misunderstanding going on between her and the people of Alice Springs, of the fact that she's a woman and things like that. So that could probably be a development of a second body paragraph. And so that kind of, when we think about it, that's sort of, when we're looking at this as an essay question, we're kind of looking at two sort of main ideas that we're going to do. So body paragraph 1, we've looked at mental health. And body paragraph 2 could perhaps be about misunderstanding, okay, or a miscommunication between the two groups, okay. And then obviously you need to come up with a third idea for a body paragraph. So it kind of emphasizes the importance of planning in picking up what you're going to talk about in each body paragraph. And that can assist you in creating a flow for your paragraph, or for your essay, okay? So I hope that was helpful for you, and we'll stop it there.